Okay, let's dive into one of Franz Kafka's most fascinating and, frankly, chilling stories, in the Penal Colony. At the very heart of this tale is a brutal, unforgettable symbol, an execution machine that represents a terrifyingly mechanical legal system. We're going to break down how this thing works and what it tells us about power.
The story kicks off with this incredible understatement. The officer, who is the machine's biggest and only fan, introduces it with this almost casual admiration. It immediately pulls us into this bizarre world where methodical, industrial precision is used for the most horrifying purpose imaginable.
So what is this machine? It's the brainchild of the Penal Colony's former Commandant, a guy the officer basically worships. And to really get a handle on its grotesque function, you have to look at its three main parts.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the apparatus is broken down not just physically, but symbolically. Each component has a very specific role in this twisted kind of legal theater. You've got the bed, which is basically the human body itself, prepped like a canvas. Then there's the inscriber, which acts as the abstract, untouchable law, the cold, mechanical brain of the operation. And finally, you have the Harrow. That's the violent part, the instrument that connects that abstract law to living flesh, making the sentence terrifyingly real.
This right here just perfectly illustrates the officer's total devotion. I mean, he is the last true believer in this system. He carries around the blueprints for the machine like they're sacred texts. He's the only one left who can even read them. And for him, they represent a perfect, flawless form of justice.
Right, so the apparatus is way more than just a tool. It's the living, breathing, well, not breathing, but the physical embodiment of a chilling legal philosophy. So let's get into the ideology that actually drives this mechanical justice. This one line from the officer, this is it. This is the core principle of the entire justice system in the penal colony. And it's a complete flip of everything we normally expect from a legal process.
So the key thing to grasp here is the absolute certainty of guilt. There is no trial. There is no defense. The accused doesn't even get to speak. In fact, the condemned man in the story has no idea he's even been sentenced. The accusation is the proof, and the judgment happens at the very same moment as the execution. It's all one single brutal act.
So how does this system actually deliver its verdict? Well, the process is a literal physical inscription of the law directly onto the body of the condemned person.
This whole 12-hour procedure is meticulously planned out, not just to kill, but to force a very specific kind of understanding through unimaginable pain. See, the prisoner is never told their sentence. They're supposed to learn it as it's being carved into their skin. And according to the officer, this all leads to a moment of transfiguration around the 6th hour, a supposed epiphany where the condemned finally understands the justice of it all right before they die.
This quote from the officer just sums up the whole philosophy perfectly. Knowledge, law, punishment, they all become the same thing through pure physical agony. The body is treated as the final text, the ultimate surface where the law can write its authority.
So we're not just talking about a sentence in the legal sense, like a prison sentence. No, this becomes a sentence in the grammatical sense. A command like honor thy superiors is literally tattooed onto the prisoner's back until they're dead, making their body the final, bloody text of the law.
So let's zoom out. Beyond its literal, gruesome function, what does this horrible machine really represent? Well, it's a powerful, multi-layered metaphor for how modern power can work.
The machine really embodies the horrors of a system that's obsessed with its own rules and processes. It's a huge critique of bureaucracy run wild, where justice becomes nothing more than a cold, technical procedure, and human beings are just reduced to objects in an administrative process, with absolutely no empathy or due process. It's a chilling warning about any system that puts procedure before people.
But here's the thing about a system this rigid, this inhuman. It can't last. Its obsession with its own internal logic actually makes it incredibly fragile. So let's look at the story's dramatic, and you could say inevitable, ending.
The officer, faced with the traveler's silent disapproval, realizes his entire world is ending. So, in one final desperate act of faith, he frees the prisoner, lies down on the bed himself, and sets the machine to inscribe "Be just" onto his own body.
And the system completely fails its most devoted follower. There is no enlightenment. There is no sacred 6th-hour epiphany. There's just a messy, mechanical, and totally meaningless death. The machine doesn't write. It just falls apart and kills him.
And this is the core critique of the entire story. Systems of absolute mechanized authority like this are inherently unstable. They're built on a kind of logic that just can't sustain itself, and in the end, they are violently and totally self-destructive.
So, Kafka leaves us with this haunting question. He forces us to think about the nature of law, the seduction of technology, and the profound danger of a justice system that has been completely stripped of its humanity.